Hello everyone, back again today with another build video. This one was a special request, and I'm calling it the Bash Trash because it's all about bash canceling and doing bash damage. So let's take a look at it here. This is a PvP, BG specific kind of build. It's not an in-your-face, sustainable. It's really more about bursting as fast as you possibly can while still having a little defensibility. So we do have about 20,000 health, 31,000 stamina, 1,451 stamina recovery, not very high for a PvP build, but our main goal is just to stay back for a while and then find an opportunity and go in and finish people off. We do have 2,461 weapon damage without our buffs, 31.8% crit, not very high, but a lot of people run crit resistant BGs, so it's not really that important. Our resists are pretty high considering we're in medium armor, and our spell resist is a lot higher from one of our sets, which you'll see. So we do have the Serpent for the stamina recovery, Dubious Camera Throne, also for stamina recovery. And let's take a look at the gear. Okay, so since one of our main focuses is doing burst damage, we are using Velidreth. Gives us weapon damage, gives us that amazingly good proc. Our second set here is Automatons, which we get weapon crit, weapon damage, max stam, and 400 weapon damage to our physical damage abilities, which is pretty much all of them. So very good set for this. Our third set here is Jolting, very underused set for PvP, but it's very good for this build, because when we block an attack, we have a 50% chance to charge our arms, causing our next bash ability to deal an additional 7,024 shock damage and increase our spell resist by another 6,450 for 6 seconds. So it really plays well with this build. Okay, now as you can see here, we have 3 infused jewelry pieces, all with the bashing enchantment. So we won't be able to block a whole lot because we don't have any sturdy on our pieces. We also don't have block cost reduction, so we'll have to be pretty specific in when we block. You will be probably taking a lot of damage, considering people will want to kill you after they realize what you're doing. So you can just hang back, let the range guys hit you a couple times while your block's up, and proc all your extra stuff, which you'll see here. And it'll just help us kill them that much faster. Okay, so for our weapons, we do have a sword and shield on one bar, and a Master's Battle Axe on the other side. Which, if you don't have a Master's Battle Axe, I recommend trying to get one, at least, because it's very, very strong. But if you can't get it, just use a whatever you want to use, a 2-piece of something, or another Jolting if you feel like it. Our traits on our gear here is all Impen. We do have 1 max health piece because it's heavy, and it helps us to push past that 20,000 HP mark, which I really like. The rest of them are all stamina on our body pieces. Our jewelry obviously is the bashing enchantment for bash damage. Our weapon here is Nirnhoned. Our one hand is Nirnhoned with a weapon damage enchantment, just helps us to get a little extra. Also Impen on our shield, max stam on that. And on our two-hand here we have Nirnhoned for the extra weapon damage and for the bigger heals. And you can use whatever enchantment you want here. I just went with Absorb Stamina because our stamina recovery is not very high, so that'll just help us to get a little extra. And the physical damage helps to have a little extra burst. Okay, let's take a look at our skills here. We're an Orc, so we have 2,000 extra max stamina, 1,000 extra health, we heal for 600 when we deal damage with a weapon ability, and we have 258 weapon damage, reduce the cost of sprint by 12%, and increase the movement speed bonus of sprint by 10%. So we are pretty mobile with this. Okay, so for our first bar here, which is our sword and shield, we do have Shielded Assault, which is the morph of Shield Charge, right here. Now this will do 5,140 damage, which goes up a little bit. And we stun them. This is the main thing that we want from this. A 3-second stun, and gives us a damage shield after the attack. And now with the Elsewhere patch, we can use this at any distance, so even if we're on top of the person, we can actually still use this to stun them. Second ability we have here is Defensive Stance. It's the morph of defensive posture that still reflects projectiles. And if we reflect a projectile, we also stun the enemy for 4 seconds. This will help to keep mages from destroying us while we're working on somebody else. And you can just keep this up, but it also reduces the cost of blocking and increases the amount of damage we can block while it's slotted. It doesn't cost a whole lot of stamina and has a huge amount of benefit for PvP. Our third ability on our bar is Power Slam. This is the morph of Power Bash, and this is the one that does extra damage, and when we block we have 25% damage bonus to it for 5 seconds. Our fourth ability here is Hexproof, which is in the Living Death tree. It's the morph of Expunge that removes more effects. This will remove 4 negative effects from us, so dots, snares, whatever. And while slotted, reduce the cost of all of our abilities by 3%. Cost health, so we can use it even if we're silenced, in a negate or whatever. Pretty awesome. Our fifth ability is in the Bone Tyrant tree. It is Beckoning Armor. This is the morph that will pull ranged attackers towards us once every 3 seconds. Also gives us Major Ward and Major Resolve, just to help us keep our resist up high, to stop those, high damage two-handers from really just destroying us. Now this is kind of a flex spot, so you can swap this out for anything else you want. If you wanted something like Necrotic Potency for ultimate generation, or if you wanted Grave Grasp for a ranged snare. We just don't have a whole lot of magic regen, so try to stay away from the magic abilities, because we just can't use them consistently enough. Ruinous Scythe is pretty good. It's not as good in PvP as you would think. The healing just isn't good, the damage isn't as good as you'd think, so it's okay. You can use it if you want to, but it's more of a PvE skill in my opinion. Okay, so onto the ultimate. We do have the Sword and Shield ultimate on this one, the Shield Discipline, which will reduce the cost of our one-handed shield abilities by 100% while it's active. And it will block all attacks at no cost for 7 seconds with 131 ultimate cost. So we can get 131 ultimate pretty fast. And if we have it up, we'll want to use this before we charge it and do our burst. That way we can actually get our procs from our blocking and all that extra stuff. Okay, onto our back bar here. We are using the two-hander on this one, so we want Crit Rush. And since it's the Master two-hander, we are going to go with Carve. This will actually increase the damage of Carve by a bit, especially if there's a couple of people nearby. This is our go-to AoE skill because it'll give a huge bleed on them. Also do a ton of upfront damage. Low stamina cost, spammable. Really, really good with the Master two-hander. If you don't have that, you don't necessarily have to go with Carve. You can go with Brawler, but the shielding is reduced in PvP, so just also kind of a flex spot here. You don't have to go with this, but I would recommend it. Third ability is our Execute. We have Executioner. This will do amazingly huge damage if they're under 30%-ish health, but you just want to use it whenever somebody's getting kind of low. Next ability is Vigor. This comes from the Assault tree. We have Resolving Vigor for the bigger heal on ourselves. Low stamina cost is our main source of healing. That and Rally, which is our fifth skill. Right here, give us Brutality without having to use potions. Though you have the option to use potions if you really want to. The main thing we want this for is the heal. This morph of it will actually heal us for 869 health every 2 seconds while active, and an additional 1,345 health when it expires. The final heal is increased by up to 564% in proportion to the length of the time Rally has been active. So the longer we keep this up, the bigger that initial... so if we recast it, it will give us that huge heal. So we can use that in situations that we're getting pretty low health, as long as it's been up long enough. Okay, onto our ultimate that we'll probably use most of the time. This is the bread and butter of this right here. When we have the ultimate up, we just become unstoppable pretty much. So it's Pummeling Glyph. It's here in the Bone Tyrant tree. And this is the morph that will give us an AoE bash attack. So it can hit multiple targets in front of us, dealing 9,920 physical damage, which goes up quite a lot when we're on our Sword and Shield. So if we can take a look at it there, it goes to 16,883 for every bash. What? Seriously? Okay. Anyway, I'll show you what that looks like. So it does have a fairly high ultimate cost, but we really are just going to destroy multiple people when this is up. So let's take a look at what I chose for CP. 61 Ironclad, 30 Spell Shield, 30 Medium Armor Focus, 54 Resistant to give us that extra critical resist, 31 Thick-Skinned, 32 Hardy, 32 Elemental Defender, Nothing in here. 16 Warlord, 53 Bashing Focus, which we really need to have this so that our bash doesn't cost a huge amount of stamina. 62 Mooncalf, 64 Tenacity, 31 Tumbling, 44 Shadow Ward. Nothing in the Apprentice. 19 Physical Weapon Expert, 61 Master at Arms. This is really important to have that higher bash damage. 5 Thaumaturge because we have some extra points left over, and nothing to put it in that would go to a round number. Okay, so 61 into Precise Strikes, 60 into Piercing for the extra physical penetration since we don't have it from anything else. 64 into Mighty. Okay, we're back here at the house, so let's take a look at how this plays. So since our shield charge does actually stun, we're probably going to want to start with that. We just keep our buffs up. Doop. And then we charge in. Now that'll give a 3-second stun right there alone. But this burst requires the ability to bash cancel. So I'll explain that for you if you don't know what that is. Now, you probably know that we can cancel a light attack with a skill. So if we do this, we just light attack and then right away hit a skill, we can cancel the light attack with a skill. But you can also cancel a skill with a bash. So what we're going to have to do is do a light attack, a skill, and then a bash. Okay, so our actual burst here is a shield charge, a light attack, a power bash, a bar swap, and then an executioner. So that seems like quite a lot. So you got to practice it quite a bit too. Let's see if I can get that off. Let's get our buffs up. Might as well use the potion. Okay, now if we block an attack or a couple of attacks before we do our burst, we'll get 25% extra damage on our power slam. We will also get a chance to proc our Jolting shield, so that's an extra 7,000 damage, leading to a whole lot of burst all at once, basically. Now I can't really do that here on the dummy, so you'll just have to try that in practice. But if we keep our buffs up, charge in, light attack, boom, and then executioner. That should be enough to do probably about, 3/4 of somebody's health. A little less if they're tanky, so you see somebody at half health, you charge into your combo, they'll probably be pretty dead. And if that's not enough, you have your cleave here to apply a little extra pressure to them for the bleed, and likely you'll get them with that, if nothing else. So you can see just that cleave alone does a ton of damage. So, there you go. Now, with this you can use whatever potions you really want to. You don't have to use potions at all. I just have the Gold Coast Warrior elixirs here for the brutality and savagery. Extra critical, lasts more than its cooldown with the alchemy passive, and restores stamina and gives you stamina recovery. So it is worth using it. You can use the unstoppable potions as well to stop CC and all that stuff. But as long as you play a little defensively, you probably won't need them as much as you think. So with our defensive stance, we can spam this as long as there's mages on us. Actually, for mages, it might be better just to wait until they hit you with a projectile and then reflect it back and stun them, then crit rush them for the extra damage, and then cleave and executioner on them. But you can just play it however you want. It's really just all about doing a ton of bash damage. So let's get to the bread and butter of why bash damage. Let's see here, let's get our ultimate up. I'll come back when I have ultimate. Okay, so now we get into the Goliath here. This is really what we want to aim for. This is our goal, is to build ultimate to get to this. So since it's on our two-hander bar, since we have to have the shield ultimate on our front bar, we are going to use it and then swap bars, like so. And then we just start bashing away, which is unbelievably huge damage for bash. That's just crazy right there. What were they thinking? Anyway, but you can take out a whole group of people with this. Just sit here and just bash until you're out of stamina. And then heavy attack, and bash more. And everybody dies. Okay, we're here in the Veteran Mall. Let's take a look at what this Goliath can do. Can't really test it on the PTS because the battlegrounds don't work. Alright, let's shift into our Colossus here. Use this, and then we go bash into town. Boom! What is this? That is just crazy. And everything's dead. Oh my goodness. Alright, well there you go. Thanks for watching. Just remember to subscribe and give a like, comment. It really helps the videos to actually see some eyes. And helps me to be motivated to make some more of these build videos. Thank you all. Have a good one.